by doing that, then they could have that inside deal and control the price. And Lindsey, again, told 4 months ago that this double cross was coming. Now he's been given all the info, and it's happening. That's the double cross. Because when they stop buying stuff from the Arabs and claim it's because, you know, oh, it's so destabilized, that will give them the excuse to start development here. And it will also depeg oil worldwide from the dollar and will signal an acceleration of the death of the dollar. And as inside sources said that, no, it's going to be at the end of 2012. Many other experts say this year, early next year, whatever. It's a freight train going over the edge of a cliff. And it's a mathematical certainty. Every economist, Mark Faber, Ron Paul's an economist, not just a medical doctor. He's been given, you know, honorary degrees from facilities for papers he's written. The point is, Webster Tarpley, economist, doctor of history, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, former head of the Treasury Department policy, #2, father of Reaganomics. I mean, George Humphrey, former city council member, economist. The real mark of an economist is how successful he is in business, but I won't get into that. Ooh, let me tell you, he's a humble guy. They all, Humphrey told me this in 1998. He produced audio CDs off his book. What do you call it? Common Sense. I remember listening to it, driving around in the car, and having him on the radio show about the derivatives and the tens of trillions and what it would do and how it was a setup. So the point is we're now entering the danger zone. It's here. It's V2. It's point of no return. Again, V2 is when you're taking off in a jet on a runway, the point where there's not enough runway to stop, you're going to crash. You got to go ahead and try to take off. You're V2. We're now entered V2. We're in V2. And so I wanted to get Lindsey up to explain this, but also I got another email saying, well, wait a minute. Some of what I heard Lindsey say, it wasn't new. This is the one-dimensional thinking people nitpick on. They go, here's an article, a text of what Williams said years ago, and it's the same thing. Yeah, that's the whole point. We got him to give me the whole history and to go over his book, The Energy Non-Crisis, published in 1980. We said that 45 million times. Let's be technical, probably 60, 70 times yesterday. Yes, that's the old info that integrates with the new info that's now here. But now we're not going to go back into the past, except for Ken Fromm and a speech he gave with Lindsey and the threats at the time in the early 80s to understand what's happening now. And then more of what his still living source, and Fromm just 3 months ago before he died, told him about the relationship with China, what was going to happen in America. But here we are. We're going to talk about 20 minutes with Lindsey, getting into the other areas he hasn't covered. Then we're going to open the phones up for phone calls for questions for Lindsey Williams at 800-259-9231. But we're limited in time. If you call up, we don't screen your calls. But if you bring up something else, we got to let you go because Lindsey's here right now for this purpose. But Lindsey Williams, great to have you back with us.
Alex, thank you. The standard currency of the world is crude oil, and I think we can all see from what you just said that things are happening right now that are unusual. In the course of the program today, I'm going to tell you exactly how much crude oil the United States of America has. I'll give you actual numbers of barrels, as they say, is in 4 different reserves. You'll readily understand.
And this is from the Insider.
For them to do what they're doing.
And while you were on yesterday, oil went up 9%. How much is it up today?
Oil is somewhere around $10 up today. You will see at least 25 to 30 cents increase at the gas pump, probably by next week.
Lindsey, you're batting almost perfect here. 3.5 years ago or 3 years ago, give me the dates exactly. We wrote articles about it. It's on record. You said it's going to go from $50 a barrel to $150. Did it. Now you said it's going to go down to $40. People laughed at you. Boom. Did it right on time. Then you said we got 2 years till it starts rocketing back up. Then 4 months ago, you say it's going to 150 or even 200 within 6 months to a year. Boom. It's begun. I mean, look, I know the name of the former oil company CEO of one of the big 3 who you're talking to who's still alive. This is real info, unless he's giving us disinfo. They could give you good info for a long time, then give you a lie later. That's the only way you could be wrong.
Alex, I am not a prophet. Yes, I'm a Christian, and I'm a minister of the gospel. I am not a prophet. It was by the providence of God that I met these people years ago, gained their confidence. 2 of them have kept in touch with me over the past 35 years, and everything that you have just mentioned that I have told was told to me by one of these whom I call the elite of the world. Now, let's begin, as you did in the program today, 1977 through 1981. An agreement was made by the then Secretary of State with the OPEC oil-producing countries of the world, in particular the Middle East, They had found oil there about 60 years ago. Each one of the major oil companies, Shell, Texaco, Standard Oil, Chevron, divided up the Arab world, and each one of them produced an oil field. Then, of course, they became the elite, the ones that had the most and doing the most. Then Henry Kissinger comes along as Secretary of State, goes to those countries that had been produced by the major oil companies. Read the book The Three Sisters if you'd like background on all of this. And he said, I want to cut you a deal. We will be glad to buy your oil and not produce American oil. This is so important, what you've just said. This is the key to the whole thing. We will not produce America's oil fields. They know it's there. I'm going to tell you how much is there later in the program. But they said, we will not produce America's oil fields. We will buy oil from you if you will take a certain portion of everything that we buy oil from you with and buy our T-bills, our Federal Reserve issues. Can you see at this point, everybody out there in the listening audience, I beg of you, realize that the crisis of money and the financial situation and the depression that we're in right now, or recession as they call it, every bit of this was in the works and planned way back in the 70s. They knew about it even in the 60s, what they were going to do.
And you wrote about it 31 years ago, but, no, excuse me, you wrote about it 1971. Man, time flies. That's almost 40 years ago. And so looking at this, Lindsay, because we've already covered that yesterday, just explain to people how that's a double cross. Some of them don't understand what you just said, even though it's as plain as a barn door.
Now, the crisis that took place in Egypt, they predicted it to me, and I gave it on your show. Alex, please tell the audience, I gave this on your show back 4 months ago. I was told that within 4 to 5 months, there would be a major crisis in the Middle East. I announced it on your show, and it took place in Egypt was the beginning of it. Alex, do you remember me saying that?
Yes, I do. But Lindsay, just quantify it for folks that haven't read your book, because I guess, it is complex. Explain how it's a double cross. I mean, if they stop buying the Arabs' oil and develop it here, that's going to totally send the Middle East, who's on welfare, into a tailspin because they've had the oil money to produce a giant population, but they can't grow their own food.
True. Now, what they did was they created this crisis, and it's going to spread all over the Middle East. Gaddafi right now is saying that Libya, if he's ousted, that he will destroy all the oil fields in Libya before he leaves. 1.6 million barrels a day that goes to Europe. You know what this is going to do to the price of crude oil? This is spreading. It was Egypt. Now it's Libya. It'll go right on to every one of the Middle East oil-producing countries, Jordan, Tunisia, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, every single one of them, Yemen. They're all going to see riots, and this will bring about or will precipitate the production of oil in the Middle East will cease as we know it today. Now, this is very important because at this point, can you imagine what will happen to the price of oil when Saudi Arabia says we can no longer supply for the United States of America because we have riots and civil unrest in our country? This will bring the price of crude oil and the price of gasoline at the gas pump in America to $6, $7, $8, maybe even $10 a gallon at the gas pump, if you can even get it. What is this going to do to the American dollar? I was told that the dollar will be dead by the end of 2012. How does this relate to the Arab oil world? Because the oil-producing countries of the world, with the exception of Iran and Iraq, have been buying our debt. They've been buying our T-bills, our Federal Reserve issues. They've been buying them since way back in 1977.
And so they won't be able to buy as many. They won't be able to buy as many. That will further weaken the dollar. They won't be selling as much oil. That will further hurt their economies, and it'll cause a domino effect. And that's breaking the deal the globalists made with them on the 70s. That's the double cross. Correct, Lindsay?
That is correct. And when they can't produce over there, and in America we have financial problems to the point that the Federal Reserve T-bill,
tell you what, Lindsay, stay there. Let's accelerate to the rise of China and what you were told on that and how it integrates into the U.S., their plans for us. Stay with us.
Forget everything you've been told about long-term food storage. When the collapse happens, you'll need the single most effective way to get high-powered Delta Force nutrients to your family fast. Like any Special Forces commando, you need a plan. You need a Black Hawk Down food plan. Introducing the Survival Sprout Bank from Solutions from Science. It's your countertop survival garden. Yes, grow fresh greens right on your countertop in just a few short days. Sprouts are the green shoots that emerge from newly germinated seeds, and they are powerhouses of living, easily absorbed nutrients. The Survival Sprout Bank is a complete kit with nothing else to buy. And with sprouts so easy to grow, even children can grow emergency food. Call 877-327-0365 or go to survivalsproutbank.com. That's 877-327-0365 or order online at survivalsproutbank.com. Survival Sprout Bank, your Black Hawk Down emergency food plan.
Gold. It's like nothing else on Earth. From the Romans through the Renaissance, from the Industrial Age to the Space Age, gold has weathered the test of time. For 6,000 years, gold has remained the ultimate store of wealth. According to the World Gold Council and the U.S. Mint, demand is at an all-time high. The stage is being set for the reemergence of gold as the common-sense alternative to a fiat paper currency that gets weaker every day. Midas Resources is proud to offer the hard-hitting report that arms you with the truth you need to protect you and your family from the Fed's plans for your hard-earned money. Don't gamble with your future. Call Midas Resources today and ask for your free copy of As Good as Gold. Call 1-800-686-2237 for the report the Fed hopes you'll never see. As Good as Gold can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. If you have ever thought about owning gold, you must read this report. Call Midas today at 800-686-2237.
They helped to create a new world order.
We are part of a new world order.
A new world order based upon collective action.
Invisible Empire is a damning indictment of the globalists through their own words and documents.
The new world order really is a tool for addressing a new world of possibilities.
It means all the world under their control.
The United Nations would take over America. The Trilateral Commission would control the world.
Invisible Empire chronicles how men of power and influence have worked in stealth for centuries to establish an oppressive world government.
I believe, first of all, that we now need nothing short of a world constitution for the global financial system.
Global governance with the establishment of the G20.
So it's going to be an inner ruling elite and then everyone else. And I got news for you. You're everyone else.
Invisible Empire. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com or watch it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Sore throat? Spray that with Dermatol. Diaper rash? Spray that with Dermatol.
Ouch!
Burn or cut? Spray that with Dermatol for shockingly fast relief. If you had room for only one first aid product in your preparedness kit, you need Dermatol because it works on almost every skin irritation or injury. All natural Dermatol brings amazing relief to burns, cuts, scrapes, bites, boils, shingles, rashes, elderly skin tears, even chronic diabetic ulcers and bed sores. Dermatol is an all-natural, antimicrobial, antiviral, and antifungal wound cleanser that speeds healing with no side effects, is safe for all ages and skin types, and is even safe enough to spray on sore throats or onto sore eyes. Read our many testimonials at Dermatol.com, spelled DERMATOL.com. Order online at Dermatol.com or call 800-217-6677. That's 800-217-6677. Effective, efficient, economical. Spray it all with Dermatol.
By the way, I said I would announce who the special guest was in the middle of the last hour, and I got caught up interviewing Porter Stansberry. I'm going into fourth hour overdrive, and so after we do a 30-minute interview with the host of the Corbett Report, I am going to announce that for you and some other financial news. James Corbett again joining us in about T-minus 35 minutes. Lindsey Williams is our guest. We'll take 5 or 6 phone calls towards the end of this hour, or about 45 after. I promise to go to him. The toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9231. Please, only questions for Lindsey Williams. Okay, summing it up, the info we didn't have time to get into on the rise of China, what the globalists